What's up, guys? I'm Josh Pate. That's Steve Wilftong. Time for the weekly Wilftong recruiting Whiparound. We're going to whip around literally everywhere here, Wilftong. So we're coming off the early signing day. We got regular signing day coming up. But I want to ask you about a number of programs right now. Florida, Billy Napier just walked in the door down there. There's a lot of talk about Jacoby Matthews. Where do they stand with Jacoby Matthews? So that's where I want to kick it off this morning. What is the latest?
Well, the Ponchatoula safety blue chipper, the 24/7 Sports Crystal Ball has LSU predictions in. It has some older Texas A&M predictions in. The Aggies look good in the fall. I don't think they look so good right now. Florida is an intriguing program here. Head coach Billy Napier went in home with Jacoby Matthews earlier this week. They're now bringing him in for an official visit this weekend. And this is a school that's been high on his list for much of the process, even under the old regime. I would even say last spring, Florida was the leader for Jacoby Matthews. So it's a program that he's always held highly amongst the programs that he's considering. And so this will be an interesting visit this weekend. And I do think that, LSU has had momentum at different times in this recruitment, that he is a young man that has also seen himself in other places. And he knows this Louisiana staff well. Corey Raymond has maneuvered his career from LSU to the Florida Gators. Billy Napier, University of Louisiana, and Coach Jaluk and all those guys that Jacoby got to know as a young guy early in his process. He's got great familiarity with them as well, and there's a lot of excitement around the Florida program. He's the headliner visitor in 2022 this weekend. The Gators going to host some elite 2023s as well this weekend. Cedric Baxter, Derek LeBlanc, AJ Harris, John Walker, Bryson Rogers are some of those key 2023s that are coming in this weekend. But there'll be a lot of attention on Jacoby Matthews this weekend, and I think that Florida has a chance to crush it and make a major move.
What about Georgia right now? They're coming off the national championship celebration, actually had some recruits in town there. Shamar Stewart's a name that we're following for a number of reasons. Let's tie it into Georgia. What do we feel there?
Well, they're the third team in this three-team race, in my opinion. Texas A&M's a 24/7 Sports Crystal Ball favorite. I'm still riding with the Aggies for him right now as they try and secure the #1 recruiting class in 24/7 Sports history. Then you have Miami. He visited Miami last week. He's going back to Miami next weekend for an official visit. And sounds like Mario Cristobal and the new staff there have made an impression on Shamar. And Shamar was really giving Miami all the chances in the world under Coach Diaz. Visited Coral Gables several times. It's convenient, right? So we'll see what kind of move Georgia can make. And again, he's kind of the lone target for Kirby Smart and company this weekend to really zero in on in 2022. So I think it's going to be a hell of a visit. And so we'll see what that looks like coming out of that experience. And then Georgia, look, we've heard the comments from Kirby Smart about recruiting and how important it is to his program. And here they are celebrating their national championship, first one since 1980. Over the weekend, they got over 90,000 fans inside Sanford Stadium. They got a few more outside that can't get inside because that's what the demand was for that ticket. They still find time to invite like 20 recruits, and not only invite them, but actually spend time with them. Here we are celebrating something that hasn't happened in decades, but recruiting fit into their schedule. Kirby Smart sitting down and talking to guys like Caleb Downs, the coordinators, the position coaches, leaving their families, leaving all the hugs and the celebrations and everybody congratulating you to recruit. And they're still getting measurements on these kids and going through the right protocol. And they brought in a ton of elite players, guys that they think highly of. I put in a crystal ball for Trayon Webb, the running back from Florida to Georgia. I think they're in a great spot for Justice Haynes. I think they are the leader for Tamarian Parker, who's visiting Alabama this weekend. Vic Burley, no one's recruiting him harder. They offered Whit Weeks a legacy. Jamal Jarrett's a guy built like Jordan Davis. The list goes on, but they had so many elite guys on campus this weekend, and that was certainly an atmosphere that will help Georgia gain an inch or two in those young men's recruitments moving forward.
It's been really interesting for me to watch Arkansas, Steve. A lot of the theme around the program right now is just people with options choosing Arkansas. We've seen it in the transfer portal. We've seen it on the coaching front a number of times over the past 12 to 24 months. And now in recruiting, specifically as we look towards the 2023 class, even beyond the signing day for 22 we have coming up, there's a lot of momentum here. And I think if people pulled up the 24/7 Sports team rankings for 2023 right now, they'd be pretty surprised at where Arkansas stands. So what's the very latest there?
Well, in 2022, they stand at number 18, Joshua. And in 2023, they're at number 4 right now. And you and I were talking before we went on air about Penn State and the momentum that they have had on the recruiting trail the last couple of cycles. They were number 1 for a lot of this cycle, and they're number 6. And you pointed out how so many people are like, wait till people fill out their classes. Penn State's going to fall out. Well, Arkansas, they're off and running early this cycle. They're at number 4 right now. And talk about a young man with options. Let's look at the number 2 tight end in the class in 2023, Luke Haas out of Bixby, Oklahoma. He's a former Sooners commit. At one time gave Lincoln Riley and his staff a verbal in Norman, but he's been to Arkansas a ton, including last weekend. He's coming back this weekend. I have a crystal ball in for Arkansas. I wouldn't be surprised if this young man shut it down soon. And if he ends up in Arkansas's class like I'm predicting him to, Arkansas will be up to number 3. And Sam Pittman and company crushing it on the trail, doing a good job on the portal, off and running in 2023, had an exciting season. They bring back a lot of people on the field, right?
Yes, ton of them.
This is a program that we have seen win a lot of games in our lifetimes, which means it can happen again. And I love the trajectory of this Arkansas program.
Trajectory is an interesting word because that's what they want to know at Oregon right now. Mario Cristobal proliferated the roster with a lot of talent that you would think could compete at a national level. He goes to Miami. Dan Lanning comes to Eugene by way of Georgia, and immediately he hires a staff that is recruiter. Everyone's excited about the recruiting potential of this staff. So, Stephen, since that's what we're talking about right now, what are we looking at with the Oregon recruiting efforts so far under Dan Lanning?
Well, like Florida, I think Oregon's going to be one of the fun teams to follow in 2022 as we dot our I's and cross our T's and finish up this 2022 recruiting cycle going into National Signing Day, the first Wednesday in February. They just landed coveted receiver Justice Lowe from in-state. He's a young man that committed to Oregon over Notre Dame, Florida, USC here at the end. And I like them for an official visitor this weekend, 4-star cornerback Kamari Terrell out of the Lone Star State. At one point during the season, I liked Baylor. This is arguably the fastest player in the class. He's the number 1 quarter miler in the country as well. So he's going to run track in college. Oregon, they have a solid track program, as you know. But visiting Oregon this weekend, crystal ball on the Ducks coming in. I think Oregon, I like where Oregon's position with Jaleel Florence as they try and hold off USC for him. Andrew Paul's a running back from Texas that rushed for over 2,000 yards this year that they're battling Clemson, Michigan, and Notre Dame for. And then Christian Miller, a top 247 defensive lineman, who's going to announce with us on CBS Sports HQ. A lot of the buzz was Georgia or Ohio State coming into his official visit to Oregon. That was a real eye-opener for him. And they're also officialing this weekend Jalen Davis Robinson. He's a cornerback from Texas who, like Kamari Terrell, runs extremely fast. So they're recruiting guys with traits to really be developed. And this is a coaching staff that believes that they can get it out of them once they get some athletes on campus. And they're doing a good job of bringing in high ceiling guys, and we'll see what happens. And then 2023 nugget for them real quick. Seems like it's going real well for them for another 5-star in Jaden Wayne, who visited last weekend from Lincoln High School out there.
A lot going on right now, less than 2 weeks at this point from the time we record away from signing day 2022. Stephen and I will be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with a cast of quite literally thousands. Looking forward to that. Thank you as always. Keep it locked on 247sports.com for all the latest. For Steve Wilftong, I'm Josh Pate. We will talk to you later.